Hey guys, Urban Combat Survivor here. This is another in that video response, that back and forth I got going with Shall Not Be Infringed. I really encourage any of you that have kind of dropped out of this. I really think you should go through and watch all of them, every video so far, because well, I'll get to the why on that towards the end of this when I'm answering. I'm gonna hop back into the way we've been doing this is a back and forth directly between me and Mike. So that's how I'm doing this. I don't know what to say about the first part of your video, other than thank you. That means something coming from a person whose views and thinking processes I respect. You know, so many people, if you have a disagreement or you offer a counterpoint or something like that, they get pissed off. They're not thinkers, man. So, you know, coming from a thinker, that means a lot. You know, it actually brings me to a point that I've meant to make throughout these videos, and that's just a side note, really. It's not about the main point of the video, but when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I was over the road. I used to ride shotgun in a truck, and I did that for, I don't know, a little over a year or something like that. And I realized something during that. If you gave truckers the seat of power that you talk about towards the end of your video there, they'd probably fix this shit. Because these are guys that are sitting and doing a job where they can think all day long about shit. And I know you guys pick up that radio and you talk back and forth. And some of the conversations when I was a teenager, really, I was surprised by it. It's not something that most people understand is really going on. If you don't have a CB, you know, pick up a fucking CB. For those of you who have never been in a truck, pick up a CB. Just head over to Channel 9 while you're driving down the highway. Next time you go on a road trip, and listen to the conversations that are going on. Yeah, there's some vulgar stuff in there, but those guys are talking about the issues of the day in a way that most people don't anymore. So, you know, that's just an aside on that. You know, you ask in your video, has it ever been that way that I'm talking about? You know, with you know, one bill equals one law, and that's it, one main subject. No, I don't think that it has been, actually. But I'll tell you what, if you read the Constitution, I mean, just sit and actually read it, and then read through the Bill of Rights, and then watch what happens to all the amendments that are added after that. You'll see, I mean, really quickly, you'll see that those amendments start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the same thing has happened with all of the other legislation, all the other laws, all the other bills that have been passed. If you go back and you look at the original bills, I mean, you know, normal knuckleheads sitting around in life understand the concept of keep it simple, stupid. Well, that's because you want to make it work. You're not trying to cover your tracks. Well, if you look at the way this shit has gone down, as it has gotten more complex, as these laws have gotten more convoluted, the corruption has grown. Now, I mean, I guess it could be debated either way, you know? You could say that the corruption has grown because the spider web that was spun allowed for more cover for the corruption to grow. Or you could say that the bills got more complex and twisted because they were trying to cover up the corruption. That's really a chicken and the egg argument that doesn't matter in the end. What matters is coming up with a solution. So, you know, it's just something to think about. Which way did that go? I guess if you're in the mood for that. I understand what you're saying about going down swinging. You know, your example about sitting on that bridge with your truck, and if your truck drops down in the Niagara Falls, will the flow of the water actually be able to take it over? See, the thing with that is it's such a simple question if you look at it from the perspective of it's just math, man. You drop the truck in, you know what the surface area of the truck is, so whatever surface area is exposed to the water, measure that against the amount of force coming and what it's going to take to move that weight. That's it. Fuck it. It's simple math. Well, it may not be simple math for everybody, but the reality is it's something you can figure out. You know, even someone who doesn't know the math can basically Google and figure it out. The problem is we don't have that simple process. We don't have that. There's no simple algorithm that we can apply to this problem. As long as we let them frame it up. I mean, I understand. You're seeing it as going down swinging, and look at it from I mean, when you're in that fucking water and it engulfs you, what do? You just swim until you can't, But I don't think it's too late. I don't know if this analogy is going to make sense to anybody but me. Blacksmithing is kind of it's an interest I have. Leave it at that. So I look at it like this. Is the end result that you're looking for, is that worth the effort? Is the squeeze worth the juice? And in my opinion, that's the first question that has to be answered. Well, what we're looking for is the reestablishment of the system as it was initially meant to be. I think that's absolutely going for. Whatever the cost, whatever the effort, I think it's worth fighting for. And I mean fighting to your last breath for. So in my opinion, you can take the next step because yes, it's worth it in my opinion. So I look at it kind of like this. This is the blacksmith analogy thing. Let's say I take over a forge. Whatever happens, there was an old smith. He passed on and he didn't have a kid to take a shot. Whatever the case may be, I walk into this situation and what I see is a forge, and I pick up. There's only one hammer in this place, right? And I pick that thing up, and the handle on that hammer is splintered, and it's basically screwed, right? Well, I don't just throw that hammer in the trash because it's a good hammer. This is a hammer that this man has probably spent his whole life, or in our case, our families have spent generations, our forefathers fucking spilled their blood for, gave their lives for. It's a good system. It's a good hammer. So what do? I go out and I find a suitable piece of wood, and I carve this thing down, and I make a new handle for it. And let's say the hammerhead itself, it's been sitting, it was neglected, and it's a flatter or something like that. You probably know what I'm talking about. Your dad did body work. And it's rusted. And it's compromised. It's weak. It's been eroded like our system has. Like, that rust has acted like the fucking cancer that these people have on our system. So I look at that hammer. Now, it's the only hammer in the shop, so what am I going to do? I can walk away from the forge and give up on it and go try to find some place where I can get a new hammer. There ain't no stores, right? So what am I going to do? I have to reforge a new hammer, right? So what I do is the best that I can do with this rusted, decaying hammer, this weakened tool that I have in my hands. I do the best that I can in reforging that thing. I use that thing to reforge a duplicate of itself because that's a good fucking hammer. Now, it's going to take me a lot longer because I have a weakened hammer. I can't apply the force that I need to apply in order to create the new hammer. So I have to take my time. And it's going to take me a lot longer than it would if I just used a good hammer, but I don't have one, right? We don't have a good system anymore. What we have is the rusted incarnation of what that system should have been. So I take that hammer, however weak it is, I baby that thing, and I have to reheat that steel that I'm going to be working on. I have to reheat that low carbon. Hell, it starts at iron, right? I got to reheat that iron so many times to even fold it enough to get the lower carbon steel that I need. But I'm going to do it because that's a damn good hammer. So I keep going. And I might go through 3 handles because that rusted head on that hammer, it's kind of jagged and, it's deforming as I go. So I got to keep making new handles because the eyelet that my handle's going through, it's changing shape because this thing is in bad shape. But I do what I can until whatever amount of patience it took, whatever amount of effort it took at the end, it was worth it because now I have a damn good hammer in my forge. And I can use that hammer now to be smart, and I make a backup hammer. Because now I've seen the results. We learned from the lesson. We see what these scumbags have done this time around. So do I think it's too late? Do I think it's time for everybody to go, pick up their airsoft and run out there and do it? No, I don't. I don't think it is. And hopefully it's not ever going to get there. Hopefully it doesn't have to get there. I see what you're saying, man. That analogy, that analogy was perfect, those falls, because look, man, I do have that feeling. I do have that feeling that those falls are coming. I think everybody who's paying attention, not these idiots that are watching fucking American Idol or Dancing with the Stars or that kind of crap. The ones that aren't tuned into reality. Those people, they're looking for escapism, and that's exactly what they found. So, no, not them, but I think everybody who's paying attention, and more people are starting to pay attention. I've noticed a sense of desperation creeping in. People are, even people who are already prepared for a large part, I've noticed are starting to feel more and more pressure to get this done, to get those last things, those things that they've been avoiding, to get them done, because they see the falls coming, man. I think a lot of people see those falls coming. I don't think it's too late, man. I mean, all this shit that they've pulled economically, all the, Tim Geithner told Greece to just default on the $400 billion worth of 400 billion euros, sorry, in loans, in debt. Just default on it. Well, Geithner was appointed by Obama. That tells me that these morons think all this fucking debt we're running up, we're just going to be able to default on it. Anyway, they have their plan. It doesn't matter. It's not going to fucking work. The question is, what's the solution, right? I mean, you're right. We're not at the table of power. We're not sitting in that seat of power. So the question there is, why? Why aren't people like us sitting in that seat of power? What's keeping people like us from being in that place? I mean, I guess you could probably get a different answer for every person you asked. In my opinion, it would probably be a collaboration between the media and the lobbyist system. But at the end of the day, once you figure out why, you can better approach how to fix that. Well, see, my opinion is that it's the media, right? So that's why we're doing this shit. Fuck them. See, is it too late? What can we do to fix it? You mentioned the Tea Party. You don't know if they have an answer. I don't know if they have the answer either, but I can tell you this. They're a step in the right direction. People are talking. People are thinking about it. And that whole apathetic, I can't make a difference mindset is finally starting to be fucking challenged. I may not agree with the Tea Party on every point, or I don't even have to agree with them on most points for it to be a positive thing, that they're getting people engaged. People are starting to feel like they have some fucking means of trying to wrestle this disgusting monster that's been created out of our system down and make it something manageable, to use that fucking hammer and forge something worth having again. So no, I don't think it's too late. I think what's going on is they've intentionally made the problem so complicated, so complex, that looking at it overwhelms you. Until you think, just because the problem is complex doesn't mean the fucking solution has to be, right? It doesn't. Keep it simple, stupid. The more moving parts something has, the easier it is for that to break. The more likely it is that some part along that way is going to break, right? So keep it simple. All right. Well, the simple solution is to stop this bullshit from happening. The way to do that is get people like me and you engaged. What if 10 people come across these videos and they start talking to people in the way that we're having this conversation, or they pass it to their friends? Go check this conversation. They don't have to agree with either one of us. But if it gets them thinking, if it gets them engaged, and it gets them realizing, just having these conversations, man, this is change. That's why they're trying to fucking shut us up. You don't have to agree with any single point. The fact that the discourse is going on is what's important. Anyway, that's just my opinion on it. So, Urban Combat Survivor, signing off.